Welcome students for today's class. Today we are going to start with the project scheduling. Okay, so let me go to the first slide. Here you can see the first slide. What do you mean by project scheduling? So as we know the term of project scheduling, it comes under your project management. Okay, so where we will have some of the activities, or you can say some of the tasks which we have to finish it up within the time period. So how you are going to make the schedulement of your project, so that is known as your process. Okay, so where you are going to decide within your task or within your work within a project, which can be very organized way, and you are going to give the task, how much time it should take to be executed. That kind of things and all is known as your project scheduling. And also you know that this schedulement is also includes your planned start date or time and finish date and time, so that what will happen, you can have the duration and you can have the resource person in time, so that you can finish up within the time period all the activities. So if you want to go for effective like project scheduling, then how you are going to handle all the critical resources, or how you are going to handle all the critical components within the successful time, or you can say the management and all. So how you are going to do this? So that time you have to estimate the calendar time. Okay, and you have to specify all the times in which you are going to complete the task. Then you have to calculate the effort, how much you have been required to finish the work from the starting date to the till date, right? The task whatever has been identified. So that kind of estimations also you need to find out, where we are going to learn how to find out the estimations from your project estimation techniques. So here what all are the, if I will talk about the estimation part, then what all are the things you are going to estimate? You have to find out the time required to complete each task. Then how much how much space you want to keep all the work inside the server. Then what will be the specialized hardware or software, or if you have any simulators. So that kind of things you are going to like you need to have a budget of all these estimations. So when you are going to build any kind of your schedule, you have to refer some of the process in terms of your time management. Okay, so if you want to go for the time management specifications and all, so what are the things you have to manage? You need to manage the plan schedule management. You should have the like project activities, at what time, how you are going to find out the activities, and you have to estimate your resource persons, and you have to find out the sequence of activities, like after what time which one you are going to do. Then you have to develop your project schedulement. Okay, so on this you have to find out all the project schedulement tasks, and then you can start with your project work, right? So next, moving towards your next slide, just to remember, this project schedulement, this can be a question of your 8 or 9 marks, or 10 marks. It's 9 marks question is not there. 8 marks or 10 marks, where you can write about your project scheduling and all. And with that you have to write all the activities, and also with that you have to solve a problem. So how to solve a problem, that also I will tell you today itself. So that if you can solve only the problem, then you definitely are going to get 6 marks. Okay, so you should understand that is not difficult, but you have to understand how you are going for the project scheduling activities and how you are going to do. Fine. So now here I have some of these schedule activities, how I'm going to do. Okay, so if I have a master project schedule, so what I will do, first thing is I have to split into the task. Okay, once I will split into the task, that task also you can say that it is a kind of your modules. So if I will split into the task, then I can estimate the time as per my task, as per my each task, right? And also I have to estimate how many resource person I want to complete the task. So if I have n number of if I have a big project n, okay, and if I want to split into the projects, then how I will get? So where the first task will be n1, second task will be n2, till your n projects, right? So my total project name is as your n. So here that things and all, so n for n one task, how much time is required, how much resource persons are required, that I need to find it out. So once that will be done, next what you're going to do, you have to track all the major milestones. You just remember, I'm going to tell you two new keywords. The first one will be your milestone, okay, which I'm going to specify as m, and the next one will be deliverables. Okay, so where what I'm going to do is, it is not mandatory that all the task has to complete the project. Okay, but what all are the task has been completed the project, that things and all, that summary of that schedule we should note it down. Okay, so next thing what we are going to do is, we have to organize all these tasks in a specific manner, so that we can use the optimal techniques. How to use, I will tell you in the when we are going to solve the problem. Once that is done, then you will have a detailed project schedule, right? So that time you have to identify and you have to track all the individual tasks, and if any task is dependent on any of the tasks, then definitely there will be a time delay. So how you are going to count that time delay, and how you are going to wait to finish the first task to complete your next task, so that things and all, that dependency method also we have to find out. So if we are having that kind of things, then we can say that our project is very complex, very large, or you can say it is very lengthy project. That's the reason it is very important to find out that the detailed project schedule to help your track for all the task. Okay, so next thing you are going to find out, which is already which is a dependent on your project managers, to find out the intuition and experience technology. Fine, so that's the reason we will have all the project schedule and everything in a Gantt chart. That is, the name is Gantt chart, where we will have all the milestones schedulement and all the detailed project schedules which can create within your chart. Okay, so that can be a bar chart, the name is Gantt chart, which can be a bar chart. So here different views you can create. How, if I am looking in my way, how it will be a like a chart, that bar chart. If you are looking from your side, then how it will be. So it depends on the person to person, when we are creating the detailed schedule by using these milestones in our chart. So you have to be make sure that once it has been summarized with a very label, very maybe in a simpler way, maybe in a difficult way, but it has to be share it, it will be a shareable with your team members, or you can say it will be a shareable with your stakeholders, those who can understand it. Because to do this Gantt chart, is main purpose of this is, you should understand that how one person can understand from the chart, and how the task is dependent on another task, and how we have estimated the time and the resources. Okay, once the resource person and those who are going to fulfill this task, if they will understand it, then it can be complete within the like target time. Okay, so that is the region of your this is the region of your activities, and in this way you have to go through. Now the process, how we are going to have the project scheduling process. So here you can see, first you have to identify the activities. Okay, as per the waterfall model, first we have to gather all the requirements, software requirements or hardware requirements, or if you want, you can go for your design methodology. Once you have identified your activities, the next term will be that you are going to find out how the activities are dependent. Okay, once the activity has been dependent, you need to find out the estimation resource for your activities. How many resource person you want to finish that activity, you have to find out. Then you are going to allocate the people for all the activities or task, or for the individual modules. Then you have to create a project chart. Okay, so here this project chart will be describing a project schedule. Once this is done, if you want some more estimation, just go back to your estimated resource activities and just finish up your like assigning all the resource person to your project. So this is the way of finding out the project scheduling process. Now here we have some of the scheduling problems. So why we are having the schedulement problems? Because we should have the benefits whenever we are doing any project scheduling for any kind of your project management. We should have the benefits. So benefits in the sense we can track all the like a task, how much it has been finished. We can ensure that all the persons, those who are in the dependent on the task and all, they should complete within the deadline, because as we have given them the chat bar, they should able to finish it up within the time period. And also we can highlight all the issues before starting off any of the projects and all. So if we have this many benefits, then why we should have the scheduling problems? So when the scheduling problem will arise, that also we have to remember. So the scheduling problem will arise whenever we are going to estimate, or we are just going to find out the cost, but it will be creating any problem. It will be very hard to find out the cost of like all the project or developing any software or hardware. So that time, that kind of problems will arise. And if that kind of problems will not solve within the time period, then we cannot kickstart our project. Okay, so that also we should remember that. Otherwise it can create to a bigger risk. To avoid all the risk, we have to find out the problems. What is the next one? The resource person. How the productivity, because we know if you want to get something, you are dependent on the resource person, right? The project is ultimately dependent on, directly proportional to your resource person. So if the number of people will be more, your work will get over within a time period, or maybe with the less time period. So definitely, to get a good productivity, you should have the number of people, those who are working for the specified task. And also if you want to add the peoples, because suppose your project is already late and you can't finish within the time period, that time you have to increase your resource person. So then only you can finish your project within the time period. So that can be a bigger problem arise in the time or mid of your project delivery. And sometimes some unexpected things also can happen, okay, which you have not imagined that that kind of problem will come. Sometimes that kind of problem arise, but we should be ready to face all that kind of problems. Now how you are going to present your schedule presentations, how you are going to present, okay. So here we have some graphical notations. Okay, so in that graphical notations will illustrate you that how you are going to have the project schedule. Fine. So here you can say that sometimes what will happen is, if you want to accomplish your project within a very given schedule, okay, then the required resources must be available whenever it is necessary, right? That kind of things has to be mentioned inside your presentation. And also you have to find out all the human efforts whatever we are giving, that also has to be written over here. Then hardware, software, or where you are going to save all your data, or you want a bigger database, or if any kind of your new technology has come. So all these things has to be a calendar based. Okay, all the activities whatever is dependent, everything has to be noted down. So here the same thing has been written in this slide. We should have the project breakdown into the task or modules. The task will be very small, and which can be finished within a week or can be a 2 weeks. So for that we should have our sufficient human efforts and sufficient memory space, sufficient latest technology terms, and everything has to be noted down within a calendar based. So that kind of project schedulements we have to do whenever we will start the activity. Okay, so moving towards your next slide, here you can see the project activities, how we will have the project activities. Okay, so the calendar events whatever we have written, it can be your duration in calendar, like a month or day or maybe a week. So that time what we are going to do is, we have to mention all the effort, like estimations and all, within the, like the persons per person per days, how much time it is necessary, everything in a detail wise activities we have to mention inside the project activities. And also we should give the deadline that within that period we have to complete the task. Okay, and suppose if you have received with your endpoints or end service point, then that time you have to maintain the documentations, you should have the review meeting, and you should find out the test cases, in the sense user test cases. The small task will have the small test. Okay, so if we will go for the testing part, then we will come to know that yes, that module is working successfully or not. So we should see the execution part separately. So that kind of things are your project activities. So I told you the two terms, that is your milestone and deliverables, which we are going to use for our like example. Okay, so what is these two things, milestone and deliverables? You can see the deliverables in the sense it will be defined like a result of the project. Okay, it is a result of the project which has to be like can be submitted to the customer. Fine, but this one will be generally on your milestones, but it is not necessary that always a milestone will be a deliverables. Okay, so here we know that like software is not a mechanical product, but once we have started with the software project, then we have to judge that it has to be finished within a timely report period, or within a timely documents and everything, right? So by using this kind of generated reports, we can estimate our cost and we can schedule the project and we can decide what to do next. So that time this milestone will be initiated. Okay, so when the project will begin, then it is very expected that all the project related activities, whatever has to be initiated, it has to be within a project planning. So once we have gone through the project planning, there will be a series of milestones which has to be established. So it means that what is the meaning of your milestone now? It means that it is a recognizable endpoint, okay, which has to be like within a software project activity. And once a milestone is generated, the report also must be generated. So it will be a very distinct and logical stage of your project. Fine. So on your milestone, the deliverable is dependent. So deliverable is generally like a milestone, but which is not deliverables. Fine. Within a milestone, we need to do the work. So that is known as, so that is your requirement document for the system, how we are going to give it, right? So now moving towards the next one. Here I have an example actually, but I want to, this is a little bigger example which you have to solve. Before that, I want to show you a small example where we are going to solve it. I'll just open the Word. Okay, as I told you, we have one question here. Okay, so the question you can note it down. Consider some hypothetical task. If you want, I'll just note it down the question here. Consider the hypothetical task. Okay, let me increase the size which you can see at least. Consider the hypothetical task, comma, duration, and write down the question, dependencies. Fine. Then draw the activity network. Draw the activity network and find the critical path. I will solve this. You need to solve whatever the question is there in my slide. Okay, so this is my question where you can find out the task has been given, duration has been given in terms of your days, dependency has been given. Okay, so here I told you that milestones. So here you have to remember that you need to do the activity network. Fine. where before that we should have the bar. You can do the bar chart also, you can do the activity network also. All these things will be your graphical representations of a project schedule. Okay, so the beginning and the end of the activity and the responsible staff for corresponding activities will be given to you in your question paper. Fine. So what you need to do is you have to do the activity network which is dependent between some different activities. Okay, so there will be some of the automated project management tools that is known as your bar chart, activity network. It everything can be generated. So you need to use the tools which is required for your database of your project informations or project management as an input. So now here, according to the question, you have task which is named as your T1 to T1, T2, T3 till your T10, and there is a duration in the term of your days, and also there is a dependencies on like this. So this aim is nothing but your milestones. Fine. So I have represented. So how you are going to start doing the solution? Okay, so we will do that. The solutions we will do. So now, so here, how you are going to do? You have to, I told you that you have to find out. Now we will write here. So how you are going to write? How you are going to give the solution for this? You just remember, whenever you will do, you have to write everything very clearly. Okay, or else it will be like nobody will accept your answer. So here you have to mention what is the meaning of your T1, T2, all these things. So you have to write T1, T2 till your T10. All these things are known as your various tasks. Okay, just note it down with me. So various tasks. So and the next one, whatever is there, like your aim1 comma aim2 till your whatever the aim is there according to your question paper, I think till m8, all these things are known as your milestones. You have to note down, you have to write in this way. Once you have written, next you have to write, we are going to make, what you are going to do, activity network, right? So you have to write down or mention, we are going to do the activity network. Fine. So next what you are going to do, you have to write down here the minimum amount of time required. I just note it down, just note it down with me. The minimum time, the minimum amount of time required by the project can be computing, or you can write can be computed the longest possible path to reach from where to where, from begin to end, or beginning to end. Okay, you have to write down this kind of lines. Fine. Next what you are going to write, this path, what is this path known as? This path is known as critical path, because if you want to get at least 6 marks, you need to write down. Only doing the activity network, you won't get the marks. Okay, then you are going to do it. Fine. So I'll just start doing, I'll just go to my next page, it won't be sufficient for me. So what I'm going to do, so I have to start. Okay, so I'm going to start it. So I have to insert the shapes. The start, if I want to do, I have to utilize this. I'll just do it in the here itself, because I need one bigger space. So what I'm going to do, I'll just take start. Okay, so here I'm going to just write down start. Fine. So here I'm writing start. So where you just check it out your question T110, right? So first I should do the task for T1. So what I will do here, I have to do the task for T1. So I'll just insert. So if any task will be there, you have to keep it in a square box. If it is a milestone, then you have to keep it in a like circle. So T1. Fine. So next you can see over here the T1 is 10. That's all, over. So now what is happening? The next task is T2, right? T1, there is no dependency, so you are going to leave it up. T2, you are going to make because next is yours T2, right? So what I'm going to do, I'll just do it. So this is my T2. I'll just keep over here. I'll just change it to T2. Fine. So I have made T1. I have made T2. Now what I'm going to do? I have a relationship in between, right? So what you're going to do? How you're going to give the relationship now? So here you can see the question paper, the question. So M1 is my dependency. So what I will do, I told you that that is a milestone. So for the milestone, what you are going to insert? You have to insert a circle. So you have to place over here a circle. This is a milestone, right? So here I'm going to write M1. Okay, you have to write M1. You can see my M1, M1. So it comes some different. I think it is a small, that's why you can, yeah, you can see now this is M1 which is dependent. Now I have to give the connectivity. How I will give? Whenever you are going to give the connectivity, you just remember, just you give the connectivity from start to your T1. Again, you have to give the connectivity from T1 to M1. Again, you need to give the connectivity from T1 to M1, then M1 to T2. Fine. Next, go for the question now. So now here you can see the T3. So we have to make a T3. Fine. So T3, who is dependent? M2. So I have to do a T3 here. So what I will do, I just want a square box over here. Let me do it over here. I don't think that this space will be sufficient for me. Let's see. T3. Okay. So next T3 is dependent on whom? You can see M2, which is dependent on your T1. So if I will give the connectivity here, then I can say that this is also a like a dependent, right? So what I will do, I'll just paste one M2 over here. I'll just change it to M2 and then give the connectivity. Okay. So what I will do, T2 to, because it is indirectly connected, so I can give the connectivity like this. This is also your choice how you want to give the connectivity. Just you see all everything is your straight line. So I have done for the T3. Now go for the question. What is that next one? That is your T4. Okay. So T4. So now the next one is your T4. So T4 in the sense that is connected with your T1 also, T2 also, both. Okay. So I have to place this T4 in just mid of your T1 and T2. Let me put here. So I'll just copy this and paste over here. I'll change the name. I'll place over here. So let me change it to T4. This is my activity network. So who is dependent on that? T1, T2 with M3. So what I will do, I'll just copy this, paste over here, okay. So I'll change it to M3, and where to where I need to give the connectivity. I have to give the connectivity because as it is dependent on your T1, T2, so T1 connection, then I need to give the connectivity T2 to M3, then I need to give the connection from M3 to T4 because T4 is dependent on your task T1 and T2. Next, what we are going to do? You see next one, T5. T5 we have to do, which is dependent on your T1. So I have to make T5 just nearer to T1, right? So what I will do, so I'll just copy this. Okay, let me paste over here. This is my T5. I have to keep the T5 just nearer to my T1, right? So I'll just paste over here. So this is my T5. T5 is now, according to the question, now you can see I have given the connectivity T5 to M1. Okay. So here you can see T5 is dependent on your M1, which is also connected with your T1. So T1 is connected with your M1 and I have given the connectivity with your T5. Now, what is the next one? Next one, just go back to your question. Just see here T6. T6 is connected with your T4 and T5. So what I have done, I just made over here T6. Okay. So now I will give the connectivity T6. Who is the mediator of your T6? Who is the milestone of your T6? That is your M4. Okay. So M4 has to be connected with your T5 also and T4 also. So now here you see I have done the M4 which is connected with your T4 also and which is connected your T5. Fine. So next one we will do. So next one is T7. T7 has to connected with your T6 with M6. So T6 is here. I'll just copy this. So now here I will just paste over here T7. Let me put it here. I don't have that much of space. I'll just make it as T7. Now I will paste my, here you can see M7 because it has been connected with your T6 and T7, M6 according to the question, M6. Now I will give the connectivity. I will give the connectivity from T6 to M6. It is very small, you can see, but you just give the, because I don't have that much of space, I have given the connectivity. T6 to M6, then T7. Then go back to your question. Now T7 is connected with your, uh, this is I think, yeah, this is done. So now T8, we have to make the task T8. T8 is connected with your T7 with M5. So I have to make one more T8 here. Okay, so I'll just make down here the down. This let it to be T8. Who has connected with that? M5. So I'll just copy, paste it. Let's check it out. T7, T8, who has connected? M5, right? So here I'm just writing down M5. Give the connectivity. Give the connectivity from T7 to M5. Then again you give the connectivity. Make it straight lines. T7 to T8. Okay. So next, what is the next question? T9, T9 to T6 and T8, right? So T9, what we are going to do? T6 and T8. So here what I will do is, as it is automatic, first I will draw T9. Let me draw the T9 first. So I'll just copy. So I'll paste over here as my T9. I'll change it as T9. Okay. So now from T6, you should have one milestone to T9, right? According to your question. So T6 and T8, you should have the milestone for M7. T6 is automatically connected to a T8. So what I will do is, here only I will just make down one more uh, milestone which is automatically connected. So I'll just place over here. So which milestone this is? This is my M7. So I will give the connectivity. You can see directly or indirectly it is connected with T8 and T6. So I will give the connectivity from M7 to T9. What is the next one? T10. T10 has connected with your T9. So that is your with M8. So I'll just have this T10. So I will paste over here the T10. That is my task. Next one, the milestones. So the milestone I'll paste over here. Okay. So what is the name of this milestone? That is M8. Give the connectivity from here to here, then again from here to here. Make it a straight lines. So now till here it is finished. So as it is finished here, the next one has to be your end button, right? So what we are going to do? We have to end it. So where we are going to, the task got over here. So I'll just give it the end here. So it is end and I have to give the connectivity. So what I will do, just give the connectivity from the task to end. And also you can see that T3 task is not connected with anyone. So it is it's not connected with any of the tasks. So from here to here also directly you can give the connectivity because it is not a continuous process. So you just give the connectivity. That's all. So this is known as your activity network of this question. So if any question comes like this, you have to do the activity network in this way. Okay, hope you people have understood this. And in the slide there is a question. Now the next is you are going to solve that question. So this one will be your next question, okay, which you are going to solve it. So moving towards your next slide. Here you can see we have the activity bar chart. Whatever we have done right now, that was activity network. This is your activity bar chart. Here the week wise you have to give. This side the task you have to mention. And here once you have started the task, then you have to how it is dependent on this. Whenever dependent, you have to give this diamond shapes here. Okay, see the task new start begins, you have to give the dependency with the dependency, and this answer is for your this question whatever is present inside your slide, not for the question whatever we have solved right now. You have to do this kind of activity bar chart for your just now whatever we have done. How you are going to do, you can see for each of the week you have to take the task, okay, and you have to just show that how it is dependent on your previous task, and if it has been started from the beginning, that also you have to mention. So to start with that, here it has been written how much of effort we have given. It is also not that much of useful, but here by seeing these dependencies and all, you have to write down. Okay, so once that is done, you have to next we have to go for the staff allocation chart. Okay, so here we have to show that how the task is dependent on each of the staff and how we are going to give the project schedulement on the staff allocations. So this is all about your this project scheduling, and you are going to get the question on this, like differentiate between your milestones and deliverables, or which can come for your 4 marks or 6 marks. And also you can get explain different section of project plan, and just explain all the activity network, activity bar chart, everything. Okay, so that things also you have to remember. For activity bar chart, I'll just tell you one more thing. For this activity bar chart, you have to create the timeline chart. Okay, see, this is your timelines. Okay, this is your timelines. And also here why we are doing this is, here we have to emphasize on your scope of individual task, how we are going to complete. So whenever you will have the set of tasks with your given input, how you are going to find out the timeline chart that you are going to show here. So this is known as your Gantt chart. In the slide itself, I told you that what do you mean by Gantt chart. This is your Gantt chart. And here everything, all the timeline chart has been developed by using your project, okay, or by using your question, whatever it has been given. So that question is nothing but somewhere we have utilized that kind of project schedules. So by using that, you are going to develop all the individual functions like this kind of things, okay, the individual functions. And here in this timeline chart, you have to listed all the tasks, okay, from the left side to your right side, from here to that side. So once suppose if you have multiple horizontal bars, if it is occurring in the same time on your calendar, then you have to take it as your concurrency and you have to perform the task. You can see the dependencies there, okay. And what are the diamond shapes you are seeing? All these things are known as your milestones. So whenever you will have the milestones, you have to give this kind of diamond shapes. And some of the project, what will happen is you will have this kind of tables. Suppose if you don't have this kind of tables, mostly in the question paper that will be there, okay. But suppose the question not there and you have to explain how it looks like, just you take your own example and you have to explain, you have to prepare this kind of your project tables, okay. And another thing is, in this project table, all the whatever the task has been listed, everything is from your starting to end. So here we have taken the week 0, week 1 and all. So each of the month we will have the 4 weeks of time. If you want, you can mention over the weeks. If the question is that much of like a lower data has been given with the month wise, you have to mention that also. Otherwise, no need to mention. So once a task started, it is everything is dependent on your how the software development is there, requirement analysis, design, and coding, testing, maintenance, and all. So based on that, it has been designed. So once a task has been started, okay, next task you can see here, T1 is not dependent, T2 is also not dependent, T3 is dependent on your T1. So how we are going to do? So here T3 is dependent. So here, once the T1 has done, then only T3 can start, because T3 is dependent on your T1. So you have to write in that way. But you just see here, T4, there is nothing, right? It means T4 has been started from the beginning. T5 is dependent on your T2 and T4. So T5 has to start when the T2 and T4 both has been finished. Okay, T4 is finished here, T2 is finished here, then you start your T5 and just note it down, the milestone M3 which is dependent. In that way you are going to give it, fine. And how you are going to give? You can see that is 10, right? 10 in the sense you can go for like 2 weeks. 1 week is 7 days. Then you can go for 2 weeks. Fine. But if you have 15, fine. So what you are going to do? It is more than your 2 weeks. So just go for more than 2 weeks. So in that way you are going to take and you are going to find out this. Fine. I hope you have understood this activity bar chart. Just try it out, this example, how you are going to do with the, here I don't have the activity network. I want that you people has to create the activity network. So create the activity network and do this. It's this answer is already present. In this way, you have to do our first example. Okay. So both the things you are going to do it. I hope you have understood. So thank you.